Well, hi, good morning, and thank you so much for joining me in my shop here. It's June 14th. Yesterday was a kind of a scary day here weather-wise. We had tornado watches and big thunderstorms and stuff. Luckily, we survived. Nothing bad happened here. So, today though, cool day with the sun shining again. So this is a nice looking radio. It has a very classic look to it. This part here is all fancied up with fancy symbols and stuff. And it's got all its knobs. Can't see through the glass. Barely see through the glass. Just dirty, I think. Cabinet's in great shape. I don't see any really bad things. These little scuff marks can be made to disappear. It's got a hole in it here. Where? Way down here. Hole in the side. Another one over here. I wonder what those are. Cloth here is in fairly good shape, but it's just covered in dust. This is really covered. Really bad news. So there is a note up on the top. So how did this radio get to me? So it's come to me from a couple people who run a second time around store in Toronto, and they tour around. They're pickers, so they go around picking stuff, and they'll pick these old radios, and when they get enough of them that they think it's worthwhile, they'll come by my house and hand me a bunch, which I will then assess, work on, try to build the value in them, realizing that there's no value in these radios. There's no serious value to it. A couple $100, something like that. This one might be worth a little more because it's got a really classic look to it. So that's how they get to me. My job is to do the least to make them ready for sale, basically. And that doesn't necessarily mean working in perfect order. Usually does mean working in good order, but not always. This screw is completely lifted here under the wire. Can you see that? You can't really see it, but it's completely off. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. Square one. That's just backed right out. And we'll read the note on the top of this radio. Turns on, lights up, just makes popping sounds for Jim. So if they plug in a radio and it happens to work, then it's not coming up here. So we got some wires hanging out. Going to be an antenna and a ground wire here. We have the speaker wires, 4 of them. Very light wires. Heading up to the output transformer and field coil. There's tape up here. Uh-oh, that's not a good sign. There's electrical tape on here. That's a bad sign, bad sign. It's got its tubes. It looks like this capacitor has been changed, judging by the color of the top of the chassis here. It had a larger can here at one time. So that's a good sign. Somebody's worked on it. The speaker's bolted to the cabinet, but it does have a fairly long wire, so I should be able to get the radio out and still have it plugged into the speaker up in the cabinet, at least to start. I'd like to leave the speaker in the cabinet if I can, but maybe I can't in the end. So this is this the original cord? Probably this is a replacement cord that has a vintage look. That's probably what's going on here, because there's no real signs of wear and tear on it. So I'll bet you somebody replaced that. They replaced the cord. Popping sound. I don't think we should bother starting it up. We'll take their word for it. Let's see if we can get these knobs to come off easy. These screw-on knobs. They are not. Holy smokes. Oh, there is a screw. Did I miss the screw? I'm going to try to rip this off. I don't think there's a screw on this one. The knobs look identical. One is screw on, one is not. What about this one? No. Okay, man, no options here. Wow. Wow. Really? There's no screw holding that on? No. Yeah, no screw. But this one has a screw. So they're not really identical. They're just very, very similar. Okay, that's the knob story done. Now, we want to take this out. Sometimes these radios are not screwed in on the base, or the chassis is not screwed in. The knobs are holding it all together. These are probably air holes down here. We got a screw here and a screw here, two different types. Screw here and a screw here. And they look like they are replacement screws. They look like to me. I'll leave the top one on. They are long, long, long screws. Very thin. Kind of not the usual screw at all. Small head. I wonder. This is a different kind of screw here. Okay, so the radio's probably falling while I do this, so I don't want to have it tipped over. I'm going to struggle that last screw out of there, and then we'll pull the cabinet out. Okay, let's pull it out here. Okay, I'm going to unplug this for now. Take a look inside the cabinet, and then I'm going to set it aside. There's nothing written in here. There's no parts floating around. The speaker appears to be in good shape, but I don't like the tape right up near the field coil there. That's not a good sign. Okay, what's happened to this radio now? So I had mentioned before that looks like this capacitor got changed just because of the look of the chassis. This is covered. What's this doing down here? Fell off here. So we can see on the dial looks kind of interesting. Let's take a look with a different camera here. broadcast from 55 to 1700. Police band 180 to 460. Well, that's that's below the. That's really weird. That's below the broadcast band. If that's what that means. What else could it mean? And then on the bottom here, we've got a whole shortwave band, all the way from 6 megahertz up to just touching 15. Huh. There's a lot more to this radio than I thought. Emerson. Radio and television. How old is this radio? This radio looks a lot older than it actually is. This doesn't make sense to me. Yeah, radio and television. With a tube like this. This is from the late 1930s, I would say. And I didn't think there was much television industry of any sort for a company to label itself as a television company. There's a treble clef, but unfortunately they've, screwed this right through the middle of the treble clef there. Okay, that's interesting. 3 bands. So one of these must be a band switch. Obviously, it's the one that doesn't turn easy. Maybe this one here is the band switch. Okay, let's look underneath here. Yeah, I had no idea this was going to be a 3-band radio. Plus that the long wave band is very unusual. I think it's unusual. Okay, so stuff has been done, but not much. Like some stuff done, but not everything in here. So it's certainly a lot of guesswork involved. That's going to be original. This is probably a replacement. This will be original. This is probably original. This is probably original. No, it may not be, because it's soldered right here. This is probably a replacement. In behind here, you can barely see it. There's a great big capacitor sitting in there. There's an electrolytic one sitting, but I believe is electrolytic sitting here. This one might be abandoned. But they still have this one up on top here. It's back here. It's back under here. So this is a crummy radio to work on. That's for sure. It's a bit of a mess. There's another capacitor here. It looks like it's been changed. Here's a wire that's come off. There's a trimmer capacitor in the most awkward position. You put a screwdriver into there and you're going to run right across this terminal. Wow. There's a high wattage excuse me, resistor right here, this whole piece. Here's the band switch. Excuse me. Yeah, 3 positions. Well, oh, there's a battery right here, one of those carbon button batteries. A bias battery is sitting right here. There might be another one in here too, because sometimes if they use it on one, they'll use it on 2. If they use one for one tube, there's usually another tube that they can benefit from using another one of these batteries. So maybe there's another one in here somewhere. Wow. Wire off. Next step with this one, I think, would be to get the schematic and take a look at it. I think that would probably be the best way to go. So what is it? It's a Uh-oh. What is this radio? It's not going to tell me, is it? Only if it's on here. Well, let's see if it's on there. Make and model number. Licensed only for radio, amateur, experimental, and broadcast reception under the following patents. That's interesting. I've never seen that. Licensed for radio, amateur, experimental. Amateur radio is an experimental service. When you're using it, you're supposed to be experimenting, not chit-chatting on ham radio. Serial number, that's not going to help me. The manufacture and or sale of this apparatus does not imply any license under patent relating to the structure or manufacture of radio tubes. Made in the USA. Who made it? Who made it? Dynamic speaker, impedance coupling, something heterodyne. Didn't it say right on the front of the radio who made this radio? But there's, other than this serial number, there is no identifier here. ETR. Okay, let me look at the cabinet again. Closer look at the cabinet here. Let me just set it down. Now, is that some kind of manufacturer's symbol there? Put a lot of nonsense on this bezel. Huh. Well, they didn't take the time to put the maker's name on it. That just looks like a treble clef and a music like a note. There's the horrible. This is not glass. Well, my gosh. I don't know who made this. Who made this radio? Who come on. Okay, it's going to be here. I probably saw it here and then just totally... Emerson. It's an Emerson, of course. I remember now. It's an Emerson. It's an Emerson. Okay, I can hunt this guy down. I'm pretty sure. It's right there the whole time, right in front of my face. Okay, I'm going to hunt down a schematic. Try anyway. And here it is on Radio Museum. Now, I found this by using the Radio Museum search, where it will show you just photographs of the result of your search. And I just searched for the company Emerson and looked through probably 100 radios or so before I found this one here. This is definitely it. It has all the right look on the front. The only thing different is the cloth here is a little bit different on the radio I have. Here's the schematic. Excellent. And a couple of pictures. What does it say about it? I purchased this radio as a basket case in 2007. I did repair it well, complete. We've been now on display in his collection. Here's the tubes that are in there. These are all like 1930s, late 30s. What, they got a year in here? Yeah, 1935 according to this. Mid 30s. And that's about all we're going to get out of this. Okay, very good. We have a schematic. So I'm going to download the schematic. We'll take a look at it. It certainly is encouraging to work on a radio when you have the schematic. Without the schematic, ooh, pretty difficult. So this is definitely a 1930s style schematic here. I'm just looking at a few things. Power supply comes in, just runs the primary on the transformer, nothing more. but has this kind of filter in it. So this is a bit of a concern because it's right across the power line. So finding these two and replacing them would be a good idea at some point. See, the antenna is energizing these. So he's using a coupling transformer for this band. Here's the switch here, and then this is a more direct connection. What's this coil doing? So the coil becomes a tuned coil, but it's not a transformer. Same thing here. Okay, this is probably the tuning capacitor here. And then down here we have the oscillator coils and the oscillator tuning capacitor bank. And then we just come along through a transformer, IF transformer, into an IF amplifier. It even says it right there. First detector. The old days they called this, what we now call the mixer tube, a detector back then. And we come out, go through another IF amplifier. The output is, so usually there's another transformer. There's usually a transformer feeding into the detector, but in this case it's right off the plate of this IF amplifier into the detector. These are just paralleled here. And fairly typical looking arrangement. Volume control, and off we go to the triode that's built inside this tube, and then off to the power amp tube, 6F6, very common tube. This is the tone control up here. It's a treble cut. Is it a treble cut? Yeah, the more you move this up, the more you suck the treble out of the sound here. There's a battery right there. That's putting a bias on this grid. And do we see another battery in here? I didn't notice one. I have the feeling no. Yeah, I don't see one. So one battery. In some cases you can just take the battery out and forget it. Just short the leads together here and forget the battery. What that might result in is when you run the radio at high volume, you might start getting distortions, but otherwise it may still work fine. We have to try it out and see. Another thing is it's just like a what's the number for the very common watch battery. I can't think of the number just now. It's a very, very common battery. You can sometimes just fit them right in here, and I think they'll sit there and operate for a decade or two if you really want to put the bias back in. So as for the actual carbon battery that's in here, don't know if you can get new ones, or yeah, I've tried reconstituting the ones I have. I have a few of them, and they don't last. You can put a little water in them and they'll produce the voltage, but they'll dry out. Okay, there's not much else I can get from here. This is a concern. The grounding of the radio is all over the place on the chassis here. And a little more information down here. Reading should be taken with 1,000 ohms per volt meter. That's not a very good meter. Voltages listed are from point indicated to ground with no signal. Line voltage 117. This has a 75 in it. I think that's an expensive tube, the 75. And that's got to be the detector tube. B plus at 80 filament, 355 volts. Whoops. Voltage across speaker field is dropping 100 volts across the speaker. Whoops, across the speaker field. So you can imagine the thing gets pretty warm too. Model 34C. That's what this model number is, and the IF frequency is 456. police band. I don't think you're going to find police on that band anymore. They must have had long antennas sticking out of the back of their cars to use that kind of band. Okay, I'm not... Oh, let's look at the speaker here for a minute. So we have a wire connecting back to the iron. This can become a little bit important how this is handled here if you're going to hook up equipment to the speaker voice coil terminals. One of the terminals may be just grounded. Doesn't quite look that way here. Looks like it's just connected into here. Okay. There's the field coil shown electrically here. And we've got... Is there a parts list? They don't have the value of the parts here. I think there was a parts list. There's no parts list here. That can be a bit of a problem. I'd like to know what these resistors are. Pilot lights. They don't. In the parts list, they're going to tell you what kind of light goes in there. Should we operate this? Well, I found one capacitor disconnected. Let's look at that again. One capacitor disconnected here. This guy. Where's it going? Appears to be connecting to one of the speaker terminals. Wow, this would be a very awkward radio to work on. Very, very awkward. This could connect easily here. It could connect not so easily down here. Connect very easily up here. Should I just take a guess? So it's a beautiful day outside. As I mentioned, the sun is shining, the air is cool. Here I am in my shop. Is there any way to really tell where it's come off? Let's take a good close look at it. So that requires this to be in focus. Oh, camera, come on. Okay, I'm going to fix the focus on this camera. Let's do it about there. Okay, it's done it automatically, but I am going to make it formal here. Make it manual is what I really want to say. Okay, it won't drift anymore. Good. So I mean, there's almost no doubt that this is a replacement here. Now here's the guy. I mean, it's practically jumping onto this terminal. They've all been soldered up recently. Well, and I'm thinking I should just solder this to one of these terminals and then turn the radio on. Maybe this guy's been replaced in here. No, it's riveted and soldered pretty heavily. It's not been replaced. Well, my money's on it goes here. it goes there. Where else could it go? That's what my money's on. So I'm gonna solder that thing on there, and we're gonna plug this radio in and see what happens. Okay, I'll get that done, and we'll try the radio. Who knows? Okay, I think we're ready to actually try this guy out. Now the way they've connected the tuning knob to the capacitor is interesting in this radio. The grommets are a little worn out on it. This metal plate here, very thin metal plate, is being captured by basically a pinch roller down here or something of that sort. And so the actual drive is this thing rotating against the edge of this. You might think, well, that's just crazy. I mean, how can you make that work? Well, they can, and the thing is, when you get to the end, it will slip. And my big Hammerland radio is done the same way. Only I'm sure a much better mechanism. So it'll slip a bit at the end. Okay, that's to prevent the operator from just, cranking this thing so hard to break the string or whatever it is that's in there. And this wobbly thing here, it's just worn out grommets. It doesn't really, other than being an annoyance, I don't think it really matters. Okay, so I've soldered back the connection. We'll, I think this is the tone control here, I'm not sure. Did it say on the cabinet? I don't think so. We'll find out pretty quick. That's the on off. So we'll start with the set off. No antenna. We'll apply power and hopefully nothing will happen here. There we go. So that's 115 volts going through the dim bulbs. The dim bulbs are going to drop the supply voltage to the radio. If there's a short in the radio or something really terrible, dim bulbs will stay on. We'll start with one bulb, this one. Okay, power off, switch on, power on. Okay, bulb comes on bright. Lights are lighting up a little bit. And I'm watching for the tubes. Now, with that light in there, just one light bulb, the voltage getting here is very low. So it's possible things won't even start really glowing well. Did you hear my stomach growling there? I don't know if that's, does that go over the video? I don't know. Okay, so far nothing has happened. And I'd be really surprised. 50 volts. Whoops, didn't mean to do that. Okay. Nothing happening. So we're going to crank up the voltage now by screwing in this other light bulb in parallel here. This will raise the voltage quite a ways. 88, 80, 81, 81 volts. Still a little low for a radio like this. I can see that's glowing. I think this tube is glowing. This guy, I'll never know. These ones are all metal clad. We can't know. Okay, that sound is from the speaker. We have sound. We're still low on the voltage though. This is volume. This must be tone. Oop. Not doing much of anything. Okay, volume's up. We don't know what band we're on. Volume down. Okay, assumably I'm on the broadcast band. Could be on the police band. Any coppers? We have no antenna hooked up. No use doing this without an antenna. This needs a bit of lubrication. Okay, volume down, next band, volume up. Sounds the same. And we're operating with no antenna. Volume down, next band over. Sounds a little louder. Okay, volume down, back to the start. We don't know what band we're on. Could be police band. What happens if we get even? Wow, okay, this radio's working. So that interference noise is from something. I have no idea what it is. It's in me. It's me. Oh, it's my pacemaker. It must be set on high. Holy smokes. So, which one of these antenna wires is the antenna wire back here? Well, that didn't settle it, did it? Okay, so I actually have the antenna, my outdoor antenna available here. A little loud. I'm not sure what that amounts to. Darn interference. Okay, tune around. Anything. Make sure the volume's up. Volume is here. Anything. Except for that stuff. Stop. Come on, you can stop. The rate of that clicking in that has nothing to do with what's going on here. If it seems to, it's just a coincidence. Okay, that's what I say. Next band. Maybe this is the broadcast band. Okay, next band. Who knows? Oh, now we can actually hear stuff. So he just talked about Aurelia. That's the city I live in. So this is the broadcast band. Oh, for crying out loud. What is that? This sound has haunted me now for about, I don't know, the whole time I've lived in this house. 10 years. About. What could it be that does that kind of thing? If you're going to answer my question and you're going to leave a comment on the video and say, hey Jim, I know exactly what that interference is. If you leave a comment, I probably won't see it because I don't read the comments on my videos. And you might go, what? You mean you don't read the comments on your videos? Yeah, I don't. For some good reasons from some time ago. Part of it is just the time involved, reading them or responding to them. That's just that much more time every day. So if you do know what this interference is, if you have a really good guess, send me an email, please. I would love to get rid of it. I have hunted high and low for it. So the radio works, given a good antenna. Okay. Only we can't hear it over this interference. So if that's broadcast, this is probably shortwave, but I don't really know. Let's try again. If it's a shortwave band, we want to be up around here with the pointer. I'm going to try grounding the antenna onto the chassis of the radio here. See if that doesn't settle down the noise. We can just use the other wire. Doesn't do a thing. Oh, that sounds even better. This is a lighter wire than this one. This is darker. So this is probably the ground wire. Come on, man. You can do it. anything. Oh, whoa. Where'd it go? Not sure what's going on. Explain it. Shortwave here.
Otra de las curiosidades sobre los sueños más compartida es si son a color o en blanco y negro. A partir de la información de los soñadores, se calcula que 8 de cada 10 sueños.
There's some strange sounds in there. The howling sound you hear sounds like wind, sounds like a howling wind. Probably from weak decoupling capacitors in the radio, is my guess. You know, we're running this thing with only 80 volts too. This is almost certainly Radio Marti from the United States, broadcasting at Cuba. So the American government provides a radio entertainment source for Cubans. Huh? News, weather, sports, propaganda. I'm sure they whip a little propaganda in there now and then. So, okay, radio's working. We're not going to pick up anything on the police band. Let's get sorted out here which band is which. So this is the shortwave. This must be police. And this is the AM band. So it's the AM band. We go back down to the bottom here. We should be picking up stations again. Oh. What happened there? So this is probably shorting out somewhere by accident, or something is, it's touching something because it's moving around so much. Another possibility is the movement has broken a short wire. Like, for instance, there could be a short wire grounding this to the chassis, and the movement can break the wire in the long run. Maybe. Pretty impressive though, eh? Look at that. Wow, working radio. Okay. That's going to be it for today. Tomorrow I'll do a little work on this. I'm not sure what. See if we can go in after some of those old capacitors that are in there. And did anything get warm during that? The transformer's not warm at all. No, I didn't smell anything. I don't think anything got warm at all. Very good. What a mess. It's like there's an old wax capacitor jammed way up in here. There's this one sticking out here. These guys got to go. This one here that I soldered back. I wonder if that brought the radio back to life, if this was unsoldered, if you don't have it operating. There's one hidden back in here, really hard to get at. That's the kind of thing I would just kind of cut it away, like and abandon it in the radio, just cut the leads off and put the replacement in. We have the schematic, so it's going to be difficult, but I could sort out the size of some of these capacitors, their position in the circuit. And there's a big, this looks like a replacement. This looks like a electrolytic capacitor, and the electrolytic that's in there, it's a 2-terminal. Let's look at it with the other camera here. What I'm doing is I'm sizing up the work for tomorrow. That's really what I'm doing now. So looking in here, it's a 2-section capacitor. One section is connected to 2 wires. The other section, you know, from what I can see, not connected to anything, but it has solder on the terminal. So why it's like this, I don't know. Chances are we should look at it. Chances are we should try to look at it. Here, can we see any words on this thing? Oh yeah. Anybody read that? Looks like 450 volt. 47 plus 47. Sorry, I'm just... Here's something strange in my house here. I have to go investigate. Okay, strange sound is my neighbor with a whippersnipper cutting his, fooling around with his lawn. Okay, so that's the plan tomorrow. We'll try to go in here and change out a few of these older capacitors and see if we can't clean up the reception in the radio, and perhaps it would benefit from some alignment. That's it for today. Thanks a lot for watching, and have a great day. I'm heading outside. See ya. I said see ya.